Hello, hello, and welcome to a new stream. If it's not obvious, I done some reorganizing, hopefully bring a little bit more production value to the stream. Also making my life a little bit easier. So, but camera has a slightly new setup, and so does well, yeah, both cameras. So hopefully everything will look okay. Wonder what's up with this. There's literally always something. And I'm not gonna worry about it right now. So yeah, welcome back. Managed to hit another 2-week streak here, and managed to get some things done since last week. Most notably, I had a whole bunch of miniatures that needed priming, and I managed to take care of them. And I took advantage of my time with the airbrush out to try some things. One of the things that I started up was I have these gargoyles that I got all based, ready to go. So they have these Tyrannid, what's the word? Terraforming bases, these spires and things. And then all I did was there's a neat technique I saw where you can just cover the whole base in PVA glue and drip some super glue into it, and it makes these neat pock marks. Looks kind of like organic terrain. So, and I got all of them primed, and then I haven't ever tried doing any kind of detail work before with the airbrush, so I decided to do that with these guys. I already know that they're gonna have some glow like the rest of my Tyranids, and I figured if I can get this to work with the airbrush, then that will help speed the process along. So I tried with just some electric blue, and I think it's a decent start here. I might try to do another darker color down on the lower section of the wings. And then of course I'll go over all of the limb parts with black and bring that back in. I only tested it out on a couple of them, just these two guys here. But I do think that it was pretty effective. So I'm glad I tried that out. The miniature of the month that you can get for free from Games Workshop was actually a Termagant this month, and so I picked one up because I want to try a little variation on the scheme that I'm doing, just to see if I can put a little bit more variety in it without making it too much more complicated to paint, take up too much more time, so to speak. Real quick, I'm gonna see. Okay, yeah, everything seems to be working there. Yeah, and then of course we have our Cerberus Infiltrator. I didn't do a whole ton with him, but while I had the airbrush out, I did decide to try and set up some lighting with him. So I hit some portions of this blast with the blue that I want to try to use, and then also some parts of his armor in the surrounding areas to convey that light spilling onto it. So we'll try, I think, to get a little bit further on that today. That'll be kind of the main thing. But first, I shall need to lay out some paints. He also has his pauldron, and I might try to push that up a little bit today too, because I'm excited to get that attached to him. Plus, it's going to cover up some of this light that I've already painted, and so I'm going to have to account for that when I'm working on it. So let's grab some colors here. We'll do some... I also reorganized all my paints. Organized is not the right word. I've just moved everything around on my workstation, and so I am gonna take some time getting used to that. Just real quick, I want to check something on some of the other... Alright, it is what it is. I feel like I may have changed something that made the music inaudible, which is not ideal for everybody else. I can still hear it, which is great for me. That was the main motivation for this overhaul, was I wanted to swap out the music, and then suddenly ended up changing everything. So let's see, I'm gonna put out some glacier blue. We'll definitely need some white. Okay. Right on my finger. Let's grab the electric blue as well. Whoopa. If possible, I'd like to pass a session without having to deal with the gray paint. I might still need it if I want to do anything with the concrete area, but we'll see. See what we can work out. So yeah, we just kind of have a starting point here for the blast sections. On this front side, I want to try and get the innermost areas lit up more, like they're freshly heated from the blast. And then on the back areas, we'll take more little bit more thought. I don't really have the grasp of the color theory that goes into making these explosions yet, but I'll figure it out. I also primed up some bases for my next army project, which is unhinged since I'm not even a quarter of the way through any of the multiple other armies that are going on here, but I guess that's 40k for you. Where is my mixer? Here it is. I'm gonna try to just kind of start off with the glacier blue, because it's basically just a very slight, like, off-white blue. And so I feel like that's gonna do great on its own to convey that there's some heat in there. Question is, where's my... I think we'll just start with the trash brush. It's still with us. Excuse me. All right. So too numb to feel. I'm gonna try to resist the compulsion to sing along, but I'm also not gonna make any promises. I've just switched immediately to the teeny tiny detail brush, because really all I want to do is try and get in these whatchamacallits. See if I can turn this a little bit. Finding the right camera position is still a work in progress here, partly because I gotta gauge how far over the table it can reasonably reach. There we go. Same on these guys. I think this will be much more reliable for keeping the mini in the frame while I'm working on it versus the old camera setup. That's certainly the hope. And then I have more room to kind of get in close and see what I'm doing. Okay. At this level, the glacier blue is really not distinguishable from white. I've got the electric blue, and I'm not 100% sure what's going to be the best application for it. Whoa, what's this? Oh, that reminds me. Actually, that reminds me of two things. So let me real quick. I know we don't get much here in the way of traffic, but I'd like to. Huh. Okay, I don't think that's what I'm looking for. Alright, I'm just gonna let it be. Trust that things are working properly in the background. Oh, that's what I was gonna plug my phone in. I'm hoping with the new settings here, I don't have to look away as much. The important information should be on display there. All right, I'm gonna try to mix a little bit of the electric and glacier blue here. Down. Just gonna try to touch these surrounding areas. This little bullet sphincter is too small for its own good. Life. Okay, yeah, I think this is gonna be the trick, is just to mix in some more blue and then spiderweb this further out. Just kind of like a conventional flame effect. I went as far as testing to make sure that the music would be audible, but I've changed settings since then and I don't know if it still is. Hopefully it's not too loud if it is, but I won't be able to tell until afterwards. Who's this? I think he tried to sneak into a Tau encampment. And they got good detection tech, those Tau. So just gotta beat a hasty retreat. I did like what the result was from the airbrush here on the blast, but I think I'm gonna try to do the rest just with the regular brush, just to feel like I have a little bit more control. So the basic principle, as far as I understand it, is, just kind of follows the idea of, oh, there, that, I was wondering where that went. Where the light is, it's just like regular OSL. The color is brightest, palest, closest to the source, and in the case of an explosion or a plume of fire, that's going to be near the inside. And so as it comes further out, it will get darker. If this was a regular flame, you'd have a yellow-white core, and then go out to orange, and then red, and then black smoke. So hopefully we can get something sort of similar. That's too much paint. So really what I should be doing is getting the lighter colors and going in towards the core first, because that's going to be harder to paint over the top if I keep going this way. So try and squeeze some more of that in there. I think the glacier blue though might be a little too bright here for that. I'm gonna try and fall back to this little mix that I made. Let's see how that holds up. Hmm. All right, I think maybe we try one step down, like another mix. Oh no, the electric blue is still good. It just looks a lot darker when it separates. No, I might want to try the finer brush here. It doesn't hurt to have a backup. All right. So I'm gonna also try to tune this reflection a little bit. Hopefully this mixture will be good for that. Oh, hello and welcome in. Hope you're doing well. I feel like I'm gonna need another darker blue. This steel gray might actually be good for this. I don't know if I've ever even used this color, so it's probably gonna need a pretty thorough mix-up. Hopefully not too much of the mixer is getting picked up in the mic. I didn't test very thoroughly when I was setting things up, so a lot of the quirks I'm gonna have to iron out after seeing the first VOD. So this is, I mean, the bottle makes it look like it's very sort of smoky blue-gray, which feels like would be perfect for some bluish smoke coming off of an explosion. Once physics stops the paint from just squeezing out of the bottle on its own, can cap it up. All right, that's a lot. Let's try to mix it down, or thin it down, I should say. Oh yeah, I have a good feeling about this color. And then we could probably just mix in a slightly deeper blue to darken it if needed. The tricky part is going to be figuring out like where, like I have the basic idea of, you know, how an effect like this is supposed to look, but in practice, I'm not 100% sure. Because I know often when you're painting like, you know, a traditional flame or explosion effect, some of the color is, you know, just straight up smoke, gray black, you know. And not sure how that translates to a case like this with a blue hue. So that will be a learning experience. Scribe's about to pop off. I am just gonna treat this. What was it? Steel gray? Yeah. I'm gonna treat this as kind of the core of the darker color. So hopefully we put, and then next week, rather between this week and next, I'll do some more research and see how to correct things as needed. All right, now see down here, that's going to be closer to the origin, and feels like it should technically be brighter. Scribes arrives at dawn. We shall rise again. Yeah, way down there. Hello and welcome in. So many fiddly little corners here. There is something between this electric blue and the steel blue, though, that is going to be hard to pin down. Because the electric blue is definitely more saturated, which makes it feel darker. But the saturation makes it seem like it's, I don't know, like it's more alive, more bright, brighter, one might say. I'm also not sure if it's enough to just kind of reach into all of the crevices and paint something lighter. But I think it'll be a good starting point either way. I just noticed these spots. I feel like they're not meant to be proper blast points. And I think I'm going to leave them alone. It's a little bit too much there. We do feel like we're getting close here. I don't know if I'm ever going to be satisfied with the blend of these lights, though. The white to gray is just very rough. Might have to look at some other options for getting that color. What the heck? Alright, let's try and do some pauldron stuff. Cause you're my blood. Just go straight black. Fortunately, the Cerberus emblem is very, very simple. So, even as somebody for whom freehand is difficult, shouldn't be too hard to pull off. Do I have the... Oh, see, that's what I get for not having my thing on a separate window. Well, thank you for stopping in, Be Wild 2.0. I hope you're still around to hear that. Oh no, disaster. It's still playing. Holy cow, dude. Okay. So really what I need to do is just bring this over here. There we go. Now I should be able to see everything that's going on. Sorry for blocking the view with my hairy arm there for a bit. Okay, what was I gonna do? Oh yes, the Cerberus. So pop open the screen share here a second. See if this works. All right, so this is the I mean it's straight from Mass Effect, so there is nothing special there to modify, just the vanilla Cerberus emblem, the central hexagon, and its wings there. So, and then I'm gonna use this version that I have on the template, just plain black. And if I get around to painting like some objective markers or something, I'll try fancy colored one like in the banner there. Oh, back to the painting stream. That was trippy. Right. Before I get into this, I feel like I should do more yellow here. You know, I don't know. I don't remember. I think I used this demonic yellow as the base for the knee pads. Come back this way. Wow, why is the YouTube stream so far behind? All right, we're gonna bust out some of this yellow and give it a shot. It looks very bright to me. Hopefully thinned down, it won't be too powerful. Just a little bit of water here. Ouch. Where's the brown I used? It was this leather brown. Just gonna set some of that on the side so it can cover up as needed. Whoa. Und die Welt sieht laut bis 10. Hier kommt die Sonne. Okay, a little bit of water for that too. I might start with that just because it's the known quantity. Can just check how that's behaving before plowing ahead with the yellow. Scoot back, little buddy. Hmm. I think that works okay. I imagine once it dries, it'll be a little bit less opaque, a little bit more uniform. Honestly, we could probably just sticky tack this right onto the guy instead of having it on the pen. Make it a little bit easier to chart where the light's supposed to go. See if I can pull this, some of the sticky tack out. There's a lot in here. Drowning in the sound of my mind. All right, fella. Just put a little bit right here. It's gonna create quite a bit of space still, but that's okay. Boom. Oh, there we go. What was once profound? Now, because the camera is reversed, because it's kind of upside down right now, it looks like he's got his shoulder pad in the wrong place, but he doesn't, I promise. And then he's got this big ol' comm unit on his shoulder as well. So I need to do something for that. Probably just gonna stick with the gunmetal. Keep things simple. Classic. Drowning in the sound in my mind. And of course, with this little thing being kind of directly in the light, we'll need to do some accounting for that in the color. I do have, you know, a decent choice of brighter metallics to use for that, but I'll have to figure out which one looks best. This brush is driving me crazy. I don't know why it's split like that. Excuse me. Yeah, that's fine. I wonder. So, did that. Oh, there we go. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. But that is now an accurate reflection. How he looks. Wow, 2 Rammstein songs in one run. Statistically, low odds. Let's do some gray, I think, for the strap here. I'm not going to go crazy messing with the comm device or whatever he's got. Not at this time, at least. Come back to that later. Oop, nice. I'm very clumsy. But sometimes I manage to save. Du hast mich. I got this out for the strap, yes. All right, and then I will sketch the emblem with the gray. Back to the handy dandy reference. The proportions are going to be the really hard part. So we like for I don't think it needs to reach all the way to the top of the pad. I think we start with a little sort of chevron at the top inside. Or maybe just the outside, you know? No, actually, inside makes more sense. Thought about it for so long, the paint dried on the brush. That is just too wet. Oops, wandered off. This is tricky. I keep losing the brush tip. All right, that's not terrible. And then honestly, the wings of it are really gonna be almost invisible, covered up mostly by the strap here. To the day at company. Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe I should try to do a knee pad one as well. That's ambitious. Don't know about that. Okay. Skunk is on my phone. But I kind of want to try it just because I feel like there's not as much visual interest going on the front right now. We'll see. Um, Dang, I'm blanking. Just gonna pull something else. And now I don't remember what it was. While we're here though, I'm just gonna go ahead and do some of this gunmetal on these pieces of rebar. I think I'm probably gonna bring those down brown rust leaning, but that can be done later. Right now it's just to help pick them out. Now, one thing about adding the shoulder pad on there is that it's definitely going to create some new shadows. So as I was painting the under the shoulder underneath the pad, I kind of laid out the light as if there was nothing there, but with the shoulder pad in place, obviously it's creating some light. So there'll be some shadows here. Oh, I was like, why is that so dark? It's because it's black. I thought I had the gray out. Catch me if you can. I'm a hungry man. Yep, that's what happens when these two dark colors are so close together. Yeah. Get a little bit better focus on here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play with that a little bit. All right, well, if I follow the example, then the other emblem should be on his right knee pad. Whew, this is gonna be tricky. When I very first did Space Marines, I tried to make them Cerberus Marines. I had this really fun conversion on my little starter box captain to make it look like he had a dang, what do they call it? Omni Blade. Which I love that they could work in 40k because they've got the concept of digital weapons, which, you know, they're kind of relic level, but that's great for a captain character. Yeah, that's rough. That one went on a little better, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to touch that up. I might have to redo it. It's actually pretty readable. See if this is actually the yellow that I used before. And if it is, I need to make a note of it. I don't think it is. Although now that I think about it, I can probably just go back to the VOD and find out. I'm pretty sure it's recorded. I like where he's at. I do. I think the main thing is try to tune up the explosion, of course. Emblems, 2 of them, and then try to get some lighting on this, the metallics for this walkie-talkie, the radio, whatever it is he's got in his little shoulder holster. In fact, I think I'm going to paint this gray because it really looks to me like there's actually no, I think it really is one object. Man, I just can't tell. I'm gonna do some gray. It's hard to tell if this is like one object with, just a couple of layers to it, or if this is like a device in a holster. And I'm gonna go with the device in holster interpretation. And then once he's done, it's going to be back full swing to the Tyranids with these gargoyles. I might do this Termagant first, just to try some alternative color stuff. Honestly, I've got him in hand. All I really want to do is try some gray on the flesh. Because my concept for these Tyranids is, it's to justify having a super easy paint scheme, where it's pretty much just all black with some picked out glowing blue elements as accents. But to justify that, the idea is they are thematically themed, emphasizing the shadow part of the shadow and the warp. They use darkness as camouflage, they generate it and attack in the dark. Their synapse beasts use their psychic abilities to cause nightmares, and that's kind of their brand of psychological warfare. And so that's suitable for an all-black army. But I can definitely acknowledge that it does make it a little bit difficult to pick out and appreciate details, separate the body into different parts. When it's black on black on black, it just it starts to blend together. So I'm just playing with the idea of including some gray, and if I can keep it dark, that'll be good. And it'll just add a little bit of contrast that will help the eye follow what's going on with the miniatures. Did not plan on just grabbing this guy and laying some paint down, but I figure here I don't have that much more to do with the Cerberus Marine right now. So right now this is just my charcoal gray, the darkest gray that I have. Just basically just one small step up from pure black. I doubt the difference will even really show up on camera. No, you can actually see that pretty easily. You can see his carapace is still black and flesh is a dark gray there. And then I'm probably still gonna cover the whole guy with the gloss varnish, just like before. And then if this works out, I will go and revisit the probably not all the finished models, which is to say, right now it's really just one squad of Hormagaunts and the Hive Tyrant. But I will definitely revisit the Hive Tyrant to update him and get some of this variety on him. You're a bringer of evil. You're a taker. Dun, dun, dun. Did I do part of his head already? No. I was just really attached to the idea of having them be one color. And I don't think that the effect is bad. I think it's just, it doesn't look great when you're trying to like take pictures or put a bunch of them together. They just start to get lost among each other. So, a little trade-off. Paint scheme will be a little bit more involved, but they will ultimately be a little bit more visually distinct. So I have to pull out my other test models to see exactly how we went with the claws on the little guys and such. But we'll probably do like another shade up of gray. And maybe have that only on half of the flesh. and then just some slightly lighter highlights to finish him off. His primer did not adhere all the way. Or rather, I probably just rubbed some of it off on accident. Heck, I've got these here too. Oh, but this is basically dry now. I'm not gonna get much out of it. It's heaven and hell. Look on the outside. It's really nice to have these test minis that they just give out for free. So yeah, we'll revisit him, keep him up to date. The gargoyles are definitely not going to be as detailed, of course, as the hive tyrant, which is part of why I tested the airbrush on them. Their wings aren't going to glow as bright, and they're not going to have as much individuality. I do want to keep things fast as much as possible. But I am fond of those models, so I'm looking forward to experimenting with them a little bit. Let's grab a little bit of my rust color. There's actually two, so I've got like a fresh rust, and there's another one that's dry rust. So I'll do dry rust first since it's the darker one. It's gonna get louder. I think ideally the approach would be to sort of dab this on with a sponge, but these little pieces of rebar are so small. I feel like it's not going to be a worthwhile effort. So I'm just gonna try and do it with the brush here. And really, I'm honestly just gonna go over most of it. This broken old wall has been exposed to the elements for a while. And if this is on the planet where my Tau are, or their base, I should say, I guess the Sept homeworlds are usually pretty well defended, but this is a newer, younger Sept, and so it makes sense that it might come under some direct assault. And that planet is abusive to metal. Very rusty. So let's get a little bit of the right rust in here. The brushes are not a fan of this action. I think that's good though. I'm gonna try and get a little bit more pure white in the back of these holes.